Hello guys, it's Tate, and today I will be showing you how to solve quadratic equations using the Post-Shen method. I personally believe that this method of solving quadratic equations is particularly useful in the sense that it provides a clear intuition as to how to find the roots, which can be easier for some students to understand. I think this is a much more simplistic process than using the quadratic equation. And so yeah, let's begin. Looking at our first example, x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals to 0. So the first two things we can notice are the sum and the products by Vieta. So by Vieta, we know that the sum is x1 plus x2. Let x1 and x2 be the roots. So the sum is equal to negative b over a, which is equal to negative times negative 7 over 1, which is just equal to 7. Next, we can notice the product of the roots is equal to c over a, which is equal to 12 over 1, which is also equal to just 12. Alright, so let's look into our first observation a little bit more. So we have x1 and x2 on the number line. We can find the midpoint between x1 and x2 just by averaging them, by averaging their sum. So if we take x1 plus x2 and we divide it by 2, we get the midpoint. So x1 plus x2 over 2. Let m equal our midpoint. So we get 7 over 2, which is just equal to 3.5. That's our midpoint. So now we can observe that since 3.5 is our midpoint, 3.5 to x2 and 3.5 to x1 is the same distance. Thus, let's just call this distance sigma, because why not? So they're both the same distance, sigma away. So we can turn to our second observation that, okay, before we turn to our second observation, let me write it down. So we know that 3.5 minus sigma is equal to x1, and 3.5 plus sigma is equal to x2. So if we turn to our second observation, we know that x1, x2 is equal to 12. So 3.5 minus sigma times 3.5, 3.5 plus sigma is equal to 12. Thus we get 12.25 minus sigma squared is equal to 12. And if we rearrange this, we get 0.25 is equal to sigma squared. So now if we take the square root of this, let's just rewrite this as a fraction, 1/4. We get that sigma is equal to 1/2. And if we look at our above observations here, we know that 3.5 minus sigma is equal to x1 and 3.5 plus sigma is equal to x2. So if we plug it in, I'm going to write this as a decimal. We get our first root, and if we do the second root, thus we have the roots of our equation, 3 and 4. Let's look at another example. So now we can ditch doing all of the work and explanation. So we know that the sum is just equal to x1 plus x2 is equal to 14. And we know that the product x1, x2 is equal to 24. Therefore, we know that the midpoint is equal to 14 over 2, which is equal to 7. So we get 7 minus sigma times 7 plus sigma is equal to 24. So 49 minus sigma squared is equal to 24. Okay, 49 minus 20 is 29. Minus 4 is 25. So we get 25 is equal to sigma squared. Therefore, sigma is equal to 5. At this step, you may be asking, hey, why is sigma not positive or negative? And the reason for that is that we denote sigma above right here as a distance, right? So all we care about is the magnitude. We don't actually care about what sigma is. And as you can see here, we actually define the direction of sigma. So to avoid confusion, we just leave the distance positive and use our intuition that adding and subtracting yields the first and second root. So now that sigma is equal to 5, we know that 7 plus 5 is equal to 12, which is equal to our first root. And we know that 7 minus 5 is equal to 2, which is our second root. Alright, let's go to our next example. X squared minus 2x plus 8 over 9. Alright, so the first thing we need to know is our midpoint. So our midpoint is just negative 1. Next, we know that x1 plus x2 is equal to 2, and x1, x2 is equal to 8 over 9. Therefore, we know that our midpoint plus sigma times our midpoint minus sigma is equal to 8 over 9. So we get 1 minus sigma squared is equal to 8 over 9 is equal to negative 1/9. Therefore, sigma is equal to 1/3. So if we know that sigma is equal to 1/3, we know that negative 1 plus sigma and negative 1 minus sigma is equal to our roots. So negative 1 plus 1/3, which is the same thing as 1 minus 3 over 3, is just negative 2/3, which is equal to x1. And we know that 1/3 plus our root is equal to 4 over 3, which is x2. So these are our two roots. And so this is how we can use Vieta and the post-Shen method to determine roots. Thank you for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed this video.